I think that what we're going to see is the All Blacks' ability once again to rise to the occasion. This is something that has managed to sell out a significant stadium in the US on the same weekend that all of those teams are playing, which is a big deal. I feel like the All Blacks should be confident, not just because of the last result between the two teams, but also because they have had a better preparation.
DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
DSPN on tour. We have just wrapped up with 4 All Blacks who you're going to get to see over the next few days. Don't forget to keep hitting that subscribe button on the DSPN YouTube channel for us. Also, if you're listening across Rover, Spotify video, you're watching on that, or Apple Podcasts, thank you and welcome to it. Very relaxed and casual session it was. Jamie Wall, our good mate from RNZ, here to talk about the Grand Slam tour. And also just a quick word on the players that we had. We had Artie, we had Cam Roigard, we had George Bell, and we had Quintu Paia. And man, that was one of the most chilled interview sessions we've had.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Marty. I have to say, it definitely makes a difference when they're not playing this weekend. There's a lot less tension in the air, and there hasn't been a team named or anything like that, so there's not some sort of riveting questions about how you're going to perform and things like that. So I've been lucky enough to do one of these before, and you can definitely notice the difference.
So you're off to Chicago, you lucky bugger, to cover this game, and a rematch from the 2016 encounter. And everyone that was there in 2016 talks about it as just being a hell of an experience, as well as the rugby. What in your mind, without even getting there, are you looking forward to? Are you thinking about it in advance?
I think that this whole week is a big one for the All Blacks, because they're coming in with, again, a point to prove. And we've seen that this year. We saw that at Eden Park. We saw that in, I'm going to say, the first Bledisloe Cup, because they had to back up from that awful defeat in Wellington. They kind of had a point to prove in that series against France as well, because the pressure was all on them in that one. France really had nothing to lose because they'd sent down a understrength team. So I think that what we're going to see is the All Blacks' ability once again to rise to the occasion. And there's going to be a lot of talk about 2016 next week. You've already mentioned it yourself. Even though the All Blacks in Ireland have played a lot since then, and in some significantly more important games, I would say. But the occasion, given where it is, and given that this is a real statement for the All Blacks to not only win a test match, but to win a new market share as well. So this is a big one. This is a really big one, and it's a big tour. A lot's being made of the Grand Slam. I don't know if we can actually call it a Grand Slam.
It is a Grand Slam. Can't be picky about that. We're playing all 4 teams.
All right. Well,
does it have to be in Dublin, does it?
I kind of feel like it does, but I'm being nitpicky. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, but in any event, there's going to be a lot more Irish fans at this game than New Zealand ones. They've sold the game out as well, which again says a lot about the All Blacks, their brand pulling power. This game sold out a long time ago as well. So yeah, it's a big occasion in a year where it feels like there's been a lot of big occasions already.
Yeah, and it's a year that, we mentioned this to the players as well, and you'll see that in the interviews, a year that has been stop-start. But, I still have a lot of faith in that. I keep thinking if, it's my jigsaw theory, if we can piece together the bits that we played really well in all of these games, go back to the first one in Argentina and Cordoba, Jamie, and there were patches in that game where we looked really good, and then we closed it out well, and then we had this hiccup, and then of course there's Wellington, but we bounced back from Wellington with 2 against Australia. I mean, it's a long-winded question, but how important is it for the All Blacks not just to actually win this Grand Slam, but especially against Ireland, to make that statement against a team which is playing their first test since the Six Nations?
Yeah, it is, and the good thing about this one is that they can draw on some experience, because I feel like we would have had the same conversation last year when they went to play at Aviva in Dublin against an Irish team, that was highly rated and everything, and the All Blacks gave them probably the biggest 10-point hiding you're ever going to see.
That was the best game we played last year, I thought. That
absolutely.
game,
And so I feel like the All Blacks should be going into this game with some massive confidence, because it's more or less the same Irish team. One thing that hasn't really been spoken about is that all of these teams are coming in off the back of disrupted years because of the British and Irish Lions Tour. They didn't have a July series like the All Blacks did. They're kind of at a disadvantage anyway, because it's the start of their season, and so they're not carrying on from where they left off in July. They haven't actually played as a team since the Six Nations back in March.
Yeah.
So I feel like the All Blacks should be confident, not just because of the last result between the two teams, but also because they have had a better preparation. They're coming in off the back of two wins, and two good wins, I would say. Even though that game in Perth wasn't so aesthetically pleasing, it was a game where they got the job done.
Absolutely.
And This is what this tour kind of feels like. It's a get the job done kind of thing. Let's just do what we need to do, kick our goals, get out.
Win the games.
And I think that they're going to go on with a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to do that against Ireland in just over a week's time.
I asked Adi, and again, you'll see this in the interview, and because I really want it from a player's perspective, especially with a guy like him with so much experience, and he was on the tour last year. Are we a better team right now than we were this time last year going away?
It's a really good question. I honestly can't answer that because
he said yes.
If he's saying yes, I'll take his word for it. From the outside looking in, I think so much has changed in the last couple of games. I mean, we had Quinty Paya as well, who made a big contribution, not just in Perth, but in Auckland as well, when he came off the bench and had a really good game on the wing of all places, then played out of position at centre. And now everyone's talking about, well, this is our centre combination going forward. I don't really like the fact that we're sort of jumping to conclusions on a lot of guys. Like, no disrespect at all to Quinty Paya and his performance. I feel like he's probably going to be starting these test matches going forward. But the All Blacks shouldn't really be in a position where they're as reactive as they have been in terms of selections. So I think from Artie's perspective, of course, they're going really well because he's in the middle of a very effective loose forward group right now, than one that's got some serious depth in it right now. Across the park, though, there are still a couple of question marks, in my opinion, that probably need to get answered in these first couple of tests.
How important is it when you say to take care of business and get the results as opposed to using this kind of tour? There's a lot of clamour for development, experimentation, a World Cup in 2027. I get crazed at this. I keep thinking, it's a long time away. I'm an old git, and so therefore my whole mentality is about the All Blacks winning this next game. And you win that first game against Ireland and it creates its own momentum from there. Are you of that old school mentality that you think it's just more important at the moment to just get these wins on the board? Finish the year with 6 straight wins would be a hell of a way to finish for this group.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it old school. I think that wanting the All Blacks to win every game is pretty much goes throughout every generation,
I hope so.
To be honest. But I think that if this tour was being used for development, I would be putting a big question mark up because Scott Robertson has used 43 players over this last season and a half. He's debuted 19 guys.
Yeah, it's a lot.
There should be enough in there. And also, of those 19 guys, you'd have to say that most of them have been success stories. I think that the time now is to consolidate what has been learned, what's been built on, and just get out and win these games. Because if you look at the history of Grand Slam tours, they have been very much, what you'd call business as usual kind of games for the All Blacks. And that was with teams that had Richie McCaw and Dan Carter, Ma Nonu, Conrad Smith and the like in them. The scorelines were not blowouts, but they were comfortable enough. They were mostly built on defence, and it was an All Black team at the end of its season that knew itself very well, that knew how to defend, backed itself on defence. Yes, it was a while ago. The laws of the game have changed significantly, so it's not like they can, look at it and go, we just need to play like that. But it's more that mindset of like, we know ourselves. We just need to do what we did against the Springboks at Eden Park because we've done it before, and we need to do what we did against Ireland last year in Dublin.
Yeah. Okay, a couple of questions. We'll let you go. One of the things also about this trip to Ireland, people, is there's a reason that this game is being staged in Chicago, and it's not just because there's a big Irish contingent there, and it's not just because we're revisiting 2016. There's a Rugby World Cup happening in the United States in 2031. The All Blacks at the moment, and I know that we have a New Zealand bias, but if we're not the biggest brand in this sport in the world, we're certainly right up there, right? But we're probably the most recognised brand. How important is all the commercial aspects of what is going on up there? I know that the Silver Lake guys, faceless guys that are going to turn up there. You've got Ultrad are going to be on deck there. The big brass from New Zealand Rugby are going over there, shaking hands, making plans. There's a lot of that stuff that's going around this, which is why this game has been taken there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a reason for it in 2016, or 2014 if you want to go back. People forget that the All Blacks played the USA there. So this is the third time at Soldier Field. It's the third time it'll sell out. It's not a small ground. It's a big ground, 65,000, I think, in a non-rugby market in the middle of the NFL season as well, on a day where, in an American sports market that is incredibly crowded. The World Series is on. You've got the Blackhawks, you've got the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, the NBA
as well.
Started as well. So yeah,
this is something that has managed to sell out a significant stadium in the US on the same weekend that all of those teams are playing, which is a big deal. You mentioned the commercial opportunities. You're right, there's going to be a lot of people in there. It's also a way for New Zealand Rugby to kind of flex their muscles over upcoming sponsorship recommitments. They're going to be, I know for a fact, they're going to be asking more out of old Eltrad once he gets his ankle bracelet off to get for a bit more cash on the front of jersey.
Because that's running out, that deal, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and they're in a position to be able to say, well, if you don't want it, we're going to go ask someone else. They've had a pretty good year in terms of sponsorship, considering that the Ineos deal could have been an absolute disaster, and they managed to turn it into a massive win because they got rid of one problematic sponsor and brought in two more in Toyota and Gallagher Insurance, who pretty much spotless in terms of public recognition.
Sure.
And got more money out of them. There's this political element to all of this about kind of sending a message to World Rugby and saying, hey, this is how big our brand is here. If you want to host a World Cup here, you can't do it off the back of Alona Mar. You're going to need our help.
Right.
And so it's going to be kind of a way of showing World Rugby like, hey, come round to our way of thinking. When we ask you for something, we're willing to give it back in a few years' time when we all come back here for this World Cup and when you want to get it boosted up. Because this will not be the last time the All Blacks play in the US between now and then.
Obviously not. All right. Ireland, Scotland, England, Wales. Is it going to be 4-0? And we're going to win all these games?
I'm pretty confident about Ireland. I can't, as per usual, I couldn't tell you much about Scotland because it's just the infrequency of the All Blacks playing them. They certainly have enough good players that if they have a good day and the All Blacks have a bad day, because the last time I watched them play, that's what happened, but the All Blacks still won. Mm-hmm. England, I think, again, it's pretty much the same conversation as the Irish game, that they did it last year.
Yep. Close though.
And Wales, I would back me and you and Lachlan to beat them in a game of rugby right now. So
you heard that.
It's more yes than no on the sweep.
This is the DSPN.